It survives only because now there is a class of music slaves, which is the artists themselves. I do feel the change in the way people consume music through the 18 years of my career. I mean, I was on the cusp of many changes. A lot of changes happened in these 18 years. When I released my first EP in 2006, you released CDs. When I released my first LP, The Reckoning, in 2008, there was CDs. Yes, there was piracy. People were stealing media through different programs, but we still sold a lot of physical albums. That's why we could reach gold certificate and platinum certificate with most of our albums in the beginning. So we had the problem of the piracy. Then iTunes was invented, and there was you pay per song. And it changed the industry because people were starting to believe that digital is the future, but it wasn't enough. And then streaming came, which was supposed to solve all the musicians' problems. But then instead of having piracy from strangers, you had what is essentially piracy from three big companies, Apple, Google, and Spotify, which created a system that has no business feasibility. You can't take 12 euros a month and pay artists. It doesn't make sense. So it's just like Uber Eats can exist only because they don't pay enough for the couriers, and it can exist because they take too much fees from the restaurants. They're using a necessity, which was how do you create a platform for digital music, a distribution system that would make sense, that would fight off piracy, but it cannot survive. It survives only because now there is a class of music slaves, which is the artists themselves. I have about 3 million monthly listeners. That's not songs played, that's just listeners. Each one of them can listen to many songs. On Spotify alone, then there's Deezer, then there's Apple Music. I barely make a wage from that. If you want to do a $15 an hour wage, like a normal wage in America, you need 1 million monthly listeners. That's ridiculous. I'm one of the lucky few that has an established career already, but a beginning artist, how can they reach those numbers? Musicians cannot make money through these platforms. So there's that aspect. Then, hand in hand with that, with streaming becoming, I don't know, what's the current situation, 100,000 new songs every single day or more on Spotify. Not talking about the monetary problem of it, the cultural problem of it. How do you find something special when every day you're bombarded with the amount of content through not just Spotify, but on Netflix? How do you find like this thing that you open Netflix and you find yourself scrolling for 30 minutes and then shit, it's been 30 minutes and I'm just scrolling, looking at the abundance of content, but there's nothing really to watch. It reminds me like when, you know, back in the day when we were like with our remote control, just passing channels and there was nothing to watch. Together with what happened culturally, this idea of social media and this idea of musical competition television shows, which now everybody wants to be a star, and through social media everybody can become a star, the democratization of stardom, what we talked about. If everybody's special, nobody's special. Nobody can rise above the waves of mediocrity anymore. I do believe that quality will overcome. People would find a way. There is a reduction in our connection as an audience to our artists. You had to engage. You had to do something in order to go and listen to your artist. You had to make money. You had to babysit or clean a car, and you had to get that money and take your $10 or $12 or whatever it was and go and take a taxi, not a taxi, a bus to the shop, look for that CD, hope that it's there, and then buy it, and then you have it. And then you bought and you paid money for it, and you own this physical thing, and you listen to it over and over and over. Not just the hits, not just the things that come up on the 20-second reels, but you listen to the songs, and even the songs that the fillers, you know, and suddenly you found more about the artist. And there was a connection. There was a feeling of, I own a piece. I contributed to this. You know, I know that when I pay money to buy an album, it goes to that artist. But now you don't pay me when you listen to Spotify. You pay Spotify. You don't own the music that you love anymore. I don't get paid for it as the artist anymore. And the only people who are benefiting from it is this technological company middleman. And so all this together, technological change, cultural change, social media, streaming, everything together, and now bring AI to the picture. Now you're creating 100,000 songs each day. With AI, you can create 100,000 new songs every millisecond. So yeah, good luck.